So why quote from ancient texts at all? Hey guys, it's John out here on the back deck enjoying a beautiful day. Nice breeze going on, partially cloudy above. Lots of blue sky though, so we have a little bit of in and out of sun coming up behind me back here. I wanted to hop on and talk about this idea of why quote from ancient texts at all. Anybody who's watched my videos know that I talk about being very present. The past is done, the future is not set. Being here in the now and living intentionally here in the now, living in a space of understanding that I am the creator of my experience, and this moment is the only moment I have to create. So why talk about ancient texts at all? Well, the reason I talk about ancient texts at all is because of the fact that you can find spiritual truths in all of them. But you'll also notice that I not only quote ancient texts, but I quote Star Wars and Shakespeare and Lord of the Rings, and I quote things from various uh, modern uh, media things as well, because truth is found in all of them. And the reason I quote ancient texts mainly is because there's a lot of truth in them as well. But you'll notice I don't set myself into a position of being solely based in one tradition. I don't come solely from Christianity, though I do speak about Christianity a lot because that is my background. But, I do mention Islam, I do mention Hinduism and Buddhism and Baha'i and all these other faiths as well. The thing about ancient texts is the struggle that the world is having right now with religion mainly is when people lean into their ancient texts as infallible, as are completely the truth and everyone else must be wrong. And when you look at it from that perspective, you lose the opportunity for God to be bigger and more beautiful. And the understanding of trying to box God into a structure of religion or ideology, it kind of limits your ability to live into a bigger world. And it also really limits your ability to live lovingly with people of different faiths, because now you can't love them as much because they don't believe as you do. When you look at the idea of the ancient texts having value or not, I find great value in all of them. But now in my life, it's funny. People ask me, what's the book you're reading now? And the books I'm reading now are more comedies and more, I find truth in them as well. The thing is that the ancient texts are so um, interpreted and translated. I love Dan McClellan's use of the word negotiated, because they're all written and they're all changed and they're all translated and they're morphed over time. And yet people look at them and they negotiate their chosen belief into the words of the ancient text. Even I do. I find my truth in there, but I also find it in Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and Marvel movies and everything else, right? So it comes down to, why do I quote them? Because I'm quoting the parts that ring true to me. I'm quoting the parts that feel right to me. I also occasionally point out the things that are contradictions to say that doesn't feel right to me. I always point out the parts that are loving, the points that are caring, the points that are showing me a way to live in the present moment. Because all of the things that I quote from all of those texts are all about living in the now. The problem is we get into this idea of having to live into these experiences of somebody else's past, and then living into these prophecies that are negotiated prophecies, because even the prophecy that most people talk about is Revelation. And all Bible scholars agree that Revelation was written by somebody who believes of what was happening in the time, somebody who was talking about contemporary structures and contemporary threats. It wasn't a prophecy of 2,000 years later. That's a negotiation. That's the idea that we start looking for meaning. It's like Nostradamus' quatrains. You can go back in hindsight and find great meaning in hindsight, but you never know what it means in foresight. Well, because The reason is when you look back, you can negotiate world experiences into what he said. What was he actually getting information? We don't know. But what we know is we negotiate into his words the meanings of what happened in life. It's the same thing that's going on now. As people are looking at world events, what's going on in Israel right now, and they're using it as end times prophecies. People are looking at the world right now, and they're if they're not coming from ancient religions, they're coming from the New Age prophecies, right? They're creating this whole ascension process. That if you look on YouTube right now, you're going to find all these videos about all the things that are going to happen in 2024 and all the horrible things that are happening in 2024, and that's what they're marketing right now. That's what they're marketing right now. You only live in one moment. You only live in the now. And you can find great truth in ancient books and Star Wars and Marvel movies and love stories and rom-coms and books that you're reading and words of children. You can find great truth everywhere. But it's a matter of realizing whatever your truth is going to come down to what's actionable in the present moment. What can I do in the now? How does this affect my creating the future, as opposed to me leaning into a prophecy that somebody negotiated about the future, that somebody has chosen to believe about the future? So that someone who's oftentimes created this story of the future mainly is because they're finding their way to feel powerful in their own way. So it comes down to the realization that right here, right now, is the only moment you have, and the future will be what you choose to believe and create in the now. And the second you start leaning into somebody else's belief about what the future will be, you're creating their life, not your own. So look at the ancient texts, find your personal truth, but find the ones that help you create a loving and more beautiful now. And then you found your truth in the ancient text like I have. And that's my thought on this. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. See you. Bye.